A few months ago, I was watching Arsenal at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday, laptop propped up next to my keyboard, pretending to be in a meeting. A goal got disallowed. My American coworker leaned over and said, "Oh, like a coach's challenge?" I said no. He said, "So it's replay review?" I said kind of, but also no. This conversation has happened 4 times with 4 different coworkers. I have given up correcting them mid-sentence, and now just wait for the part where they ask why nobody's throwing a red flag. Here's what people get wrong about VAR almost immediately. It is not a challenge system. Nobody requests it. There is no flag, no timeout, no coach standing on the sideline doing a little tea with his hands. The review team is already watching. They are watching before you know something's wrong, which is the first thing that breaks most people's mental model. So let's get it out of the way early. And here's the part that trips up even people who've watched soccer for years. Not every decision gets the same treatment. Some calls are factual. Did the ball cross the line? Was a player offside? Was the foul inside or outside the box? Those get overturned on the smallest possible margin. Others are subjective. How hard was the tackle? Was it really a red card? And those only get touched if it's a clear and obvious error. 2 different standards, same review room, and nobody explains which one you're watching until it's already over. Keep that distinction in your back pocket. It explains 90% of the arguments you're about to have with your group chat. Myth 1. VAR works like an NFL coach's challenge. Wrong. There is no challenge. Coaches can't request a review, players can't request a review, and if they stand around the referee demanding one, that's a yellow card. The review team is already monitoring every reviewable moment in real time, whether you ask them to or not, like a smoke detector that's also slightly judging your cooking. The only visible signal in the entire process is the referee drawing a rectangle in the air with both hands, which is somehow the least dramatic gesture ever invented for a decision that can end a season. Myth 2. VAR reviews everything. Also wrong. It only steps in for 4 categories: goals, penalties, direct red cards, and mistaken identity, meaning the referee carded the wrong guy entirely. As of this World Cup, they added 2 more: corner kicks awarded incorrectly, and a second yellow card that leads to a sending off. A regular first yellow card still isn't reviewable. You can commit the most theatrical, Oscar-worthy dive in the history of the sport, and if it only earns 1 yellow, the room full of people watching 16 camera angles will simply let it happen. Meanwhile, a slightly wrong corner kick, something no fan has ever once complained about at a bar, now gets its own review. Priorities. Myth 3. And this is the one that actually gets people. People assume that even with all the cameras and technology, offside is still a judgment call. A human instinct dressed up in better equipment. It is not. Offside is not a judgment call anymore. It used to be a linesman, sprinting, eyeballing 2 moving bodies from 30 yards and making a guess. Now it's cameras and a chip in the ball building a 3D model of the exact moment the pass is played, and it will call a player offside by a margin smaller than the width of his own boot. There is no benefit of the doubt clause. There never was one written down. Everyone just used to pretend there was because a human being physically couldn't see closer than that. The technology removed the excuse, not the rule. Take that to its logical end, and eventually the tracking gets good enough that it's not measuring the ball anymore. It's measuring you. Heart rate during a missed penalty, reaction time on a clearance, whether you actually tried on that sprint back in the 89th minute or just jogged it for the cameras. We are one bad broadcast decision away from a stat overlay that says effort, 61% next to a player's face while he's still on the pitch, and somehow that will also be reviewable, and somehow it will still take 4 minutes. If none of that stopped the arguments in your group chat, that's fine. It wasn't supposed to. It just moved them to a room with 16 camera angles and gave them a name.